Well, hey, welcome to the Permaculture Pimpcast. We're having something of a technical snafu. We've been having a lot of those as of late, whether it's on my phone, whether it's in the computer. Michelle is being bombarded. The interview that I did yesterday with Nessa from Nessa's Hemp. Folks, it was 5 times it took to be able to do that interview. So hopefully we get by without glitches tonight. Now we got problems with the music. We got problems we never had before. So here we are, the Permaculture Pimpcast. We can't use our intro music, at least not right now, until we figure out what the powers that shouldn't be have done to us. So anyway, here we are live, and want to thank everybody for coming in. If you would, hit that thumbs up and tell everybody we're live so they can go ahead and start suppressing us, because naturally we talk about things they don't want to talk about. How you doing, son?
Pretty good. We had a first blue sky, I think, since I've moved to Texas today. It was crazy. Everybody I encountered today was talking about how blue the sky is, but then you start bringing up like why it hasn't been blue, and then their brains literally shut off. I've been encountering more and more, like, I don't know any other word for it, but non-player characters in my life. Like whether it comes to driving, whether it comes to like whatever's going on and the media and stuff like that. It's getting worse. It's getting worse.
Yeah, I totally agree. We'll come to that in a minute. This episode is 420 of the Permaculture Pimpcast. This episode, as always, brought to you by the Sovereign Health Summit. That's going to be October 27th through the 31st in Harmony, North Carolina. TPC will get you 5% off. And then another new sponsor, I just interviewed her last night, folks. You might want to check that one out. We had to do it on Rumble because I wasn't sure. Well, I never interviewed her before, and I didn't know what she might get into. I've heard her before, and I was thinking, wow, she could potentially say some stuff that will basically bring down this channel. So we had to do that on Rumble. I'm going to go through it because there's a lot of good information she puts in there, and it also opens up the idea for a lot of people out there that do not realize you have a endocannabinoid system. A lot of people don't know that. And the mainstream prostitutes and, of course, the mainstream doctors are going to make sure you never know about it. So I want to start talking about that and let everybody know what you can do about it. Anyway, they're our newest sponsor here, Nessa's Hemp. You can get 10% off with promo code PERMA. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and try to post that video hopefully tomorrow. I'm not so sure. Like I said, we're going to have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, because when you talk about anything that can truly, truly, truly help somebody, well, the powers that shouldn't be, they have a way of getting back at you. Son, have you had any technical difficulties on your end? Because it doesn't matter whether it's my phone, the computer, the iPad, it doesn't even matter. Ever since we got back from El Salvador, it's been nonstop problems. What about you?
Yeah, same here. Like just earlier, like I'm rendering a video right now that I recorded earlier, and it's saying like my disk is full, even though I just cleared my disk. I have plenty of space, and then I go and check, and there's plenty of space on the disk, like the hard drive disk. Text from you, and actually just texts in general. Like I won't actually get a notification for the text, like with you, where you've sent me texts before in the past. Like I won't receive that text. I won't get the notification until you call me to see if I got the text.
And then
like,
it happens at the same time.
And then it'll go off. It'll ding as I'm like answering the phone, and then I'll get the text and everything. But yeah, I mean, emails, I still can't. Somebody was asking, like, are you able to see your Patreon comments? I can see the Patreon comments, but I can't see any of the DMs. Like I can see there's people DMing me, but I can't read any of the DMs. Like I'll click on it and it'll just be like a blank, as if nobody ever said anything. Yeah, so it same here.
That's for sure. It's funny you mentioned that, because Patreon, it's been that way for a while, where all of a sudden they had me locked out, and then I got back in. Now I can't even respond to people asking me questions. And like you said, with the direct messages, I get those a little bit later. So, and there was another little incident the other day where I was trying to log into Permapastures Farm Facebook account. William has that access, and we couldn't even access it. So
the verification code wouldn't even get send to me, even though he was sending it to the phone. It just wouldn't even come through. I still haven't gotten it.
I'll go conspiratorial on this, and I'll just tell you straight. I'm not the only one experiencing this. Neither is William. There's a number of other people out there. Every time I try to post on X, it will rearrange what I said. I usually talk into the phone. Typically, I have no problem with that. And then every single time, I'm talking 100% of the time now, I say it in there. And if I don't go back and proofread it, and then I try to correct it, and it will autocorrect to the wrong thing. This is happening over and over and over. But I want to tell you that all of the people that are speaking out about what's going on around here in this country, it's happening to all of them too. Now, the ones that are completely on the, that are part of the Operation Mockingbird, it's been going on since the 1950s, ever since Dulles was running the CIA. It's going on right now, and it's in overdrive. I mean, folks, ask yourself, we got bombs falling all over the Middle East right now, but you almost don't see any of it. Go back and think about the first Gulf War. How many bombs did you see landing there? Play by play. And it's funny. So I'm starting to wonder, man, is there actually, I should be asking this question, son. I'm starting to wonder, is there actually a war even going on? Because we saw almost nothing out of Ukraine. We see nothing. And honestly, these folks lie. Look, the definition of a pathological liar is a person or an entity that will lie even when the truth would serve them better. So who even really knows what's going on over there? I know right now, from what I think I saw, at least somewhat verified, it looks like Israel and parts of Iran look like Godzilla walking all over it. So we'll find out, I guess, sooner enough, because this thing, and folks, I'm telling you, you better get your house in order. As something of a historian, I should point out, son, what do you think the likelihood of something happening when, tomorrow is, okay, first of all the mainstream prostitutes and all their surrogates out there are putting out, they're about to attack us. Look, the only ones I'm worried about attacking us right now is my own government. Yep. And if you know anything about history, folks, let me just kick it out there. But we do have something of an auspicious date coming up. Tomorrow being Friday the 13th, and then Sunday is the Ides of March. Okay, well, anybody who's a Shakespeare fan obviously knows, or a history fan, knows that Julius Caesar, of course, who was he killed by? It wasn't Al-Qaeda. It wasn't anybody else but senators that, smoked him. And that happened on the Ides of March. So anyway, I'm just kind of wondering, because I know the powers that shouldn't be, these dates mean something to them. It really does. They do. They really do. All these dates, whether it's 9/11, you name it, all of these dates have significance. Even when this war kicked off, there was a significance to that date as well. So I'm wondering, what should we expect over the weekend, particularly Sunday? Maybe the whole weekend. Who even knows? But it's not. Who even knows, man? I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit trail on that one. But every time I see a weird date coming up, I'm going to start pointing them out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've kind of been waiting for the same thing of the. I don't even know if you can say the term used for these events, the double F term and everything, without getting flagged on YouTube. I remember Alex Jones got in trouble for a while back by calling certain things the double F term. So I don't know. I have a feeling something's going to happen, because there isn't one single person. And same thing before GWAT and everything. There wasn't anybody who was like wanting to go to war or wanting to go out there. But as soon as 9/11 happened, then you had all these people signing up and ready to go fight for our freedoms and everything. And you just get screwed in the process. I'm sure something's going to happen.
You know what I find interesting is you were talking about a little bit ago that the cognitive capability of most people, and look, folks, let's just be honest. Most of America is stupid. Let's just tell it. And it's been that way for a while, but it's getting much, much, much worse. Son, you know the difference now between this 9/11, the Gulf of Tonkin, World War II, Pearl Harbor, or the sinking of the Lusitania. We can keep going back, Battleship Maine. They always did the false flag on the front end, the FF on the front end. I guess I'll call it that. They always did it on the front end with the expectation that they were going to rope people in it. They have so little respect for the intelligence of the American people that they're going to do it on the back end. That if they do it, which is almost a certainty, they're going to do it on the back end, because they honestly have, usually they kick off the false flag and then they bring on the war. They have so little respect. Oh yeah, FF. Yeah, F the FF. That's how I feel about it right now. So, um, yeah, so typically they do it on the front end. This is the first time in modern history where they're going to actually do it on the back end because they're like, all right, you know what, man, I don't know if these people are as complete. There ain't enough of them that are completely stupid. So, yeah, we may have to do this on the back end. And sadly, most well, definitely most of the Trump tards are going to fall for it. And that's exactly what I'm calling it from here on out, folks. If you can't tell that this guy has absolutely betrayed you up one side and down the other, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this guy has lied about as much, if not more, than Obama and Biden combined. I mean, everybody knew those guys were pathological liars, but this guy's he's taking it to a whole, he's turning it into an art form. We're winning. There's ships. You got his Baron Trump on X telling everybody, yeah, let's go fight this thing. But meanwhile, he's got a deferment. I'm sure he ain't going to be up in the front lines. So Credence was right about that fortunate son thing. Anyway, I'll jump right into it. So anyway, Hisea boots, folks. Son, I don't know if you ever got a pair of these guys. They got another one in the mail, Hisea. Michelle, if you're listening, can you put that in the description here? Because I ain't lying, folks. They make the best doggone mud boots I've ever used.
Yeah.
Son, you use them as well, right?
Yeah, we've got a couple. In fact, we just got Joey hit me up not too long ago asking about saying if we wanted to do another promotion for Hisea, and they sent us some boots. And honestly, I wouldn't keep doing promotions for Hisea if they weren't awesome boots. They're half the price and twice as good as everything else. Like muck boots, I've consistently broken muck boots in the same doggone spot every single time. I have yet to break a pair of Hisea boots. The only part that has ever broken on a pair of Hisea boots has been that little pull tab to help you get the boot on.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's fallen apart. And the way I yank them on, I'm not surprised that that it falls off and everything. But they don't crack where your foot meets your shin. Like that's where I always break muck boots. And then the tread on muck boots wears out in like no time at all. Yeah, Hisea is the way to go, and they have a lifetime replacement warranty. So even if it does break, even if something does happen, you're fine. You can just send it in and get a new pair. The only complaint I've ever heard from Hisea boots from other people was that the color faded a little bit. I don't care. They're going to be covered in mud as far as I'm concerned anyway. I don't care about the color fading. But yeah, I got a pair. Emily got a pair, which is my wife, and then the baby got another pair. Which there you go, y'all. They are selling kids boots now, which is awesome, and some apparel. They got some overalls. Dad, you gonna get some overalls?
I don't know about all that. I mean, I'm burned up as it is, man. I gotta wear as little clothing as possible. But yeah, those boots. I got boots 3 years old from them, and I'm still wearing them. So I want to give a shout out to Hisea.
And real quick, Dad.
SEA.
They were asking, are the boots heavy? No, they're lighter than the alternatives as well. So it's not some heavy, thick boot. They're a lighter version as well. So they got kid sizes, adults, all kinds of stuff.
I spent $200 on a pair of boots down at that Sportsman's Warehouse in Asheville, and it was like the best boots supposedly they have. Man, I was springing leaks in those things in about 2 weeks.
Yep.
I've had boots now from these guys for 3 years. I still put them in the rotation, and the tread's still great. And there ain't a leak at all. And where there was damage, which I expect in a pair of boots, a little bit of epoxy, and I was ready to rock. You put epoxy on those muck boots that I bought, man, it tears up the rest of it. I mean, it'll take up the part you didn't epoxy. So, yeah, Hisea boots, winner in my book, y'all. Go check them out if you need any muck boots. So other things we got going on around here, we got baby sheep jumping all over the place. And I say jumping all over the place, I mean, they literally jump all over, especially in the evening. It's just so cute to watch. We got one mom that still hasn't, she's been a good mom in the past. She hasn't had hers yet. And judging by the size of her, she may have triplets.
Is it 50, 60?
I ain't sure what number they are. I don't get too acquainted with them, but I know, well, I do with the ones that don't work out. So folks, let me just tell you, if the motto on this farm is get loose or get lost. If a sheep ain't a good mom, in the freezer, you're going to go. And that's the bottom line, folks. If you don't do that, and I can't stress it enough, especially in these times, you cannot have animals, especially, and I'm going to cite exactly why I'm saying this. You cannot have animals in this time that don't do what they're supposed to. So you can't baby them along. You can't give them any excuses. If the first time they're not a good mom, in the freezer, in the oven, you're going to go. And you know what? I need meat in the freezer anyway, so it's not a problem. But right now, we got we got one or two of them. Well, we got a couple of withers. I think we need to go in the freezer. But we will have some rams that we can, cross stock with some other folks out there. So, yeah, that's going good. Used less hay this year than I ever have, ever. And when I say less hay, folks, I'm talking it's like next to nothing. And that's exactly where you want to be when you get a good grazing operation going. You want to scale back, and you're almost certainly going to have to unless you have more land. You got to scale back in the fall, and then when they're having babies in the spring, then you make your adjustments. But especially with things being what they are right now, folks, you are going to have to, and I mean in a big, big way, be thinking about the ways in which you can actually save a few bucks, because it's about to get real in a big, big way. So, what else do I have here? Oh, well, yeah.
Hey, before you move on, Dad, people are requesting videos of the jumping lambs. They want to see these cute little babies jumping around.
Okay, man. I hope your mom ain't listening after all, because that's exactly what she's going to be doing tonight. Spending half the night just out here to getting these jumping. They are cute though, and they always do it in the morning and the evening and the day. They're just kind of chilling and following mom everywhere. But it's then they all get together and they play in the evening. I mean, it's just what they do. It's just so cute to watch. And but anyway, we got some good ones, man. We got some really good ones. Great structure, great conditioning, the whole 9 yards. And they're in moms that don't have any crutches at this point. We have folks, this is what you need to shoot for. This is what you need to shoot for. And you have got to cull mercilessly to get to that point. They're not going to be bigger sheep. We intentionally have smaller sheep right now because they're more parasite resistant. It's with anything out there. I mean, the smaller they are, generally, the more parasite resistant. Goes that way in cows as well. So, I want something that I would rather get less meat, but have an animal that I don't need to baby. Outside of giving them some minerals, a little bit of salt, I'm not looking to do much more than that. So, other thing that is sad, but good night, man. All these trees are flowering out, son. I mean, like, if we didn't have a couple of freezes coming up, one tonight, I told you before, we got 400 pounds off that one peach tree. Judging by what I'm looking right now, man, there'd be about 600 or 700 pounds this year. But we're probably going to lose all these guys either tonight, or we got temperatures supposedly in the teens. I'm sure that's all orchestrated. So anyway, that's why you want early, mid, and late of everything. So you want early, mid, and late apples for your region, early, mid, and late pears, early, mid, and late peaches, early, mid, and late plums. I think you get the point. You want to do that for the not only because it's smart, but also for the preparedness aspect. Let's say you got an early freeze or a late frost. Either one. That's what you cover yourself up for. At least you get something out of the deal. And in the best case scenario, you get really all kinds of good stuff. Finally, we got some bone sauce kicking. I finally was able to make some. As soon as your mom put it up, son, it sold all of it immediately. So
I bet.
I mean, good night, man. And folks, I know people are sending me all kinds of emails, even hate emails, like, come on, dude, you're killing me. You got to get this stuff made. Folks, let me just tell you something. I got my faults, but laziness ain't one of them. And I'm not gonna cut this stuff. No, I don't care how many of you ask me. I'm not gonna cut this stuff and sell you a product that you're spending good money for, and I'm giving you half the intensity. This stuff is full 100% blast what it is. And I got to have the right conditions. I got to have the right stuff. I'm not going to sell. There is no way I will ever sell a product that isn't 100%. And folks, I've done it many, many times before. I've had to give people their money back because I didn't like the batch. If it ain't got the right color, if it ain't got the right smell, if it ain't got the right, there's a lot of this stuff that's nuance. And unless you make it, you don't know. And there's a lot of other things I put in it now where it used to be just bones, water, heat, and time. Now there's a few other all of it is edible kind of stuff, but don't go eating this stuff by no means. But I'm not going to sell a product that I got my name on. It's Billy's bone sauce, y'all. I ain't putting in, it ain't Billy's half done bone sauce. So I'm sorry if we run out. Doggone it. Amy said it's sold out already. Doggone it. All right, y'all. I'm trying to go full steam ahead and get back in the saddle and making this stuff. But as soon as I put it up, it's coming right back down. So I know people were asking about a waiting list. Folks, I can't put a waiting list out there for 100 folks. So anyway, so let me kick it on over to you.
I got people emailing me about that bone sauce. They're mad at me because you're not making bone sauce.
I'm hoping by tonight or tomorrow I'll have some back up online. But so, folks, I got to make this in small batches. A number of people are trying to come up with crazy ways for me to do it any other way. I can't control. I have got to be able to control the quality, and I can only do that in small batches. I'm not about to have you spend this kind of money on something that is half done, or it's not. Like I said, there's times I've wasted lots of money because you only get one shot at this, maybe two if you're lucky. But if you overdo it, you got goo that you can't use. And if you underdo it, you got a product you can't use. So it's got to be done perfect. And if it ain't perfect, I ain't selling it. So, son, let me kick it on over to you.
So when we got back, we found like the combination of frost and a few chickens got out, just wiped out the garden. Everything but what was it? Comfrey and cabbage got killed. I think mostly by those chickens. They went there and just destroyed the garden. So today I replanted the garden, got everything in the ground, and then I also did a video on it saying like, hey, if you like lose your garden for whatever reason, don't give up on it. You can still, there's other alternatives that you can do. You can just start later on certain plants. But that being said, I did put out tomatoes in February, so I was kind of expecting some of them to just die off and not make it. So I went to the greenhouse or to the, I guess, greenhouse store, the nursery store this morning, bought the plants that we needed, got a bunch more potatoes. I mean, we're trying to grow as much food as possible this year. This year, I have a personal goal of growing all of our own onions and garlic that we need this year, because that's something everybody uses a lot of in most dishes. So I have like 2 4x40-foot beds planted of all onions and garlic, and then I got a couple of beds here that have onion and garlic all kind of spaced in between. And just getting ready to go to that Caleb House event this weekend. And if you guys aren't familiar, there's a Caleb House Ruckus this weekend. It's a fundraiser for the organization Caleb House. And they go and save kids from trafficking and then provide them with permanent homes afterwards. They don't just throw them back into the system just to get, the same things happening to them or anything like that. They provide them with permanent homes so they can permanently stay out of that particular system. And then the Ruckus is basically like a fundraiser event for that. Tomorrow I'll be speaking. Saturday is a Bible study, and then Sunday, I believe, is the actual ruck, where we all just kind of ruck around Fort Smith, Arkansas. So if you guys are going there, excited to see you guys. If not, then maybe I'll see you guys next year. But yeah, that's what we got going on here.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out. I meant to comment on it before, but yeah, today was actually a blue sky, not with that, light blue haze behind it. It was funny. The last time we recorded the show, the very next day, they were spraying like the dickens. Now today, so I'm curious how many other people in the chat out there are experiencing, no chemtrails right now, because I wonder if all of our resources are being, delegated to the Middle East. I'm not sure, but I'm just curious because today was actually a blue day now it's colder anyway. Of course, it didn't stop me being outside completely naked, trying to get some of that vitamin D, but yeah, so I'm out here in 40-degree weather, man, for hours. No, not a stitch of clothes on, man. So I'll tell you what, man, this protocol makes you tough. I'll tell you that. Yeah, Dragonfly says something here. It says, I'm late. Could the glitches be a data center cyber aid? I'm glad you brought that up. I doubt it, because a lot of this stuff is happening in our software. It's happening. It's not like it's a glitch. I mean, every single time I try to post something to X, it's the same thing. So Nancy also says, I started 400 onions, 300 garlics. That's what I'm talking about. Folks, I eat a bulb and a half of garlic every single day. I mean, I roast the whole bulb, but every time I eat dinner, like I did a few moments before walking in here, I'll take, that bulb of garlic that's been roasted, and I just put it in whatever I'm eating. I'm trying to eat for performance these days. Believe me, folks. Planting the seeds as 0 trails today. So, okay. So it's like a mixed bag, but by and large, it seems like some folks are actually seeing some daylight here. You know, you know what I find curious on the plane, you know, you're hearing reports now that some of these airlines are actually going to like shut the doors because rising fuel prices, and it's probably going to go much higher. But sure, it's funny how we still got the money to pay for these planes to drop junk over us every single day. Ain't that curious?
Yep.
So, yeah, somebody says, oh, yeah, Ken and Amy says, Mountain, wow, they did a Bob Ross out there, man. Wow, not in a good way either. So, yeah, trails in Oklahoma. I guess we got just lucky here in this spot of Western North Carolina where I'm at. So, anyway, mountain readiness, y'all, it's coming up. I keep forgetting to mention it. It's going to be William and I think, are both. Are you going to be there as well, son?
Yeah, I'll be teaching there as well. Yep.
So one of these sheep out here, maybe 2 of them that ain't cutting the mustard out here, is about to get dealt with in mountain readiness. And me and William are going to do it. We're going to show you how to process a sheep. That's going to be 1 through 3 May, and that's going to be at Banhoy Campground. So yeah,
and
check out.
I'll be teaching permaculture design as well.
Folks, it's the best doggone festival you never heard about.
Yep.
I guarantee it. I mean, you got the best. It is the best festival without question, dealing with homesteading, preparedness, tactical stuff, you name it. I have never seen a better festival, and almost nobody knows about it. So go out there, be there, be square. William and I are both be there. Wave watch. Billy 100 will get you $100 off that watch. I guess you don't have yours handy. Yeah.
Yep.
I usually wear mine when I'm going to town or if I'm in some kind of pain. So, anyway, Billy 100 will get you $100 off that thing. I trust me. Anytime I got to be in public, you better believe I'm wearing that. I wear the old version of the watch. I wear it everywhere I go in public because, you know, it keeps you from snapping. Anyway, Billy 100 will get you $100 off that. Also, if you want some of these ball glasses I got on right now, Bond charge, not B-O-N-D, B-O-N, charge 15% off with promo code PERMA. There you go. William's got it up on the screen right now. Bond, B-O-N, charge. PERMA will get you 15% off. All right, so I'm going to run through this pretty quick. As far as the good news, okay, I know this ain't going to be applicable, but we got a worldwide audience. I mean, it blows my mind how many people are listening to us everywhere. So we even had fans down in El Salvador. I didn't even realize that. Pretty crazy. Cool. Yeah. So the healing power, I've never had this fruit, so I wonder if you have, son. The healing power of durian, the king of fruits that smells like hell. Have you ever had one of those?
No, I haven't. And I think when I was in Australia, there was some sort of legal restrictions behind it. Like you couldn't, I think the rule was that you couldn't bring it into public spaces. So that kind of stopped the sale of it or anything like that because you sell it in a public space typically. But no, I've never had it.
A lot of Asian stores carry it, and they usually got it wrapped up pretty tight. I haven't been brave enough to go try it yet. Yeah. So anyway, if you look at what this stuff does, man, I mean, yeah, the smell apparently is absolutely awful, but you know, everybody talks about how it's a blending of it's not a hybrid or anything like that, but if you had to describe it, it was like a blending of a banana, a mango, vanilla, and you know, it's considered a delicacy in a lot of different places, but apparently it's high sulfur content and a lot of the other things is really, really good for a lot of the ailments that cure the things that may be ailing you. So anyway, durian fruit, here's another one here. And the only reason I picked this one out because it's my grandbaby's middle name. Clementine, a little citrus powerhouse packed with serious health benefits. Reason I'm bringing that up also is when we were in El Salvador, these things grew like, folks, I am not kidding you. You couldn't walk out 10 feet into the woods and not come across an orange tree or a clementine. It was blowing my mind. I was like, and then when you taste the orange juice down there, son, because they really got legit oranges that were squeezed right that, you know, when you ordered it,
yeah, it
would blow your mind. It didn't even taste like anything we have in the United States of Amnesia. The taste, the flavor profile, 100% different. I don't even drink orange juice, but I made an exception down there. So anyway, these clementines, and I'm bringing this up because this is something you might have, especially here in the South. Folks, remember, think about that vitamin C out there. There's a lot of different medicinals out there that are going to offer some vitamin C. But clementines, you know, not only does it taste good, it's also a pretty good way to get that vitamin C. especially when things might be in a little bit of a disruption. And I'm going to cover that here in a second. I keep meaning to. And then finally,
Hey,
go
real
ahead,
quick,
son.
Dad. Eduardo Torres was saying, "How do I grow it in Texas?" You can't grow durian in Texas. If you get freezing temperatures at all, you can't grow it in Texas. It's strictly like a tropical, subtropical fruit. So you might be able to, and it's a pretty tall tree too. So it's not like you're going to be able to pot it. And then maybe you could do some bonsai version of a durian fruit, and then just bring it in during the winter. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's one here. Here's the last one. And dietary defense, how 3 common foods fight wrinkles and dark spots from within. I remember there was this guy in the Army. Yeah, I guess I could say his name. Yeah, his name was Sergeant Hall. I mean, this guy was as sweet as sugarcane. Everybody knew it, but, it was what it was, man. And I was like, this dummy would literally go around telling everybody about how hot his wife was. There ain't a wrinkle. Man, I remember him. We got off from a deployment. I want to say from the Middle East. And so everybody's thinking, man, his wife must be, something else. Man, look, I'm trying to be as nice as I can, but it goes to this article. I mean, I remember him saying, yeah, this guy it was uncomfortable to hear him talk about his wife like this, how she, her curves and all this and that, and how she didn't have a wrinkle on her face. And I remember looking over and I said, it was cold blooded, but I was also a sergeant at the time. And I remember looking over to one of the soldiers. He looked back. He said, Sergeant Bond. I said, yeah, I know. And I said, I'm just going to leave it alone. He says, man, he said she didn't have a wrinkle at all. I said, well, he said she had a body of a 17-year-old. I said, well, she better give it back because she's putting wrinkles in it. So, anyway, I mean, this is a woman. Anyway, your mom is down there climbing the walls right now because she knows more to this story. Your mom actually, yeah, there's more to this I got to tell you about, son. I can't tell you online, but this was comedy you can't make up. But anyway, those almonds, how did I even get on this? Anyway,
the wrinkles.
Yeah, almonds, salmon, and what else they got here? Well, mango. Also 3 wrinkle reducing things out there. So it is what it is. Anyway, don't have anything from Eric tonight, but soil saviors, y'all. A lot of people were asking about that. If you want to get some soil saviors, the way to go about it is going to be down below. We have it listed in the chat down below. I mean, what do you call that thing? Like the description
box? Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, soil savers, go check them out, folks. We gave a lot of that away. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. You're going to be glad you did, especially if you don't know how to make compost, especially with the article I'm about to read right now. Check this one out. And this one's from Z Media Official. I know I quit reading bad news headlines, y'all, but I'm coming out of retirement on this one because it does kind of fit with what we're talking about here. And this is from Maria Z at Z Media. Famine alert. Way too many people are not taking this seriously enough. Now, what is she talking about? There's this video that's kind of going viral of this Iowa farmer talking about that. Now, keep in mind, most of your commodities, folks, they don't have to be this way, but they are. You have got to have mountains and mountains of fertilizer to make that happen. Well, with 30% of the fertilizer coming through the Strait of Hormuz, and the conflict's been going on for 12 days, the fertilizer costs have jumped up 77%. Folks, when this thing happened, I literally saw it with my own 2 eyes at a local farm store. I saw it with my own 2 eyes what was happening at that farm store where mild-mannered farmers came in there cussing like the blazes because they couldn't believe they had to pay so much for nitrogen-based fertilizer because through the Haber-Bosch process or, making fuel, let's say, one of the things they make the nitrogen-based fertilizer is, the byproduct of that process. Well, there's a whole lot. Sulfuric acid. You want to know how many? You don't have tires, folks, if you don't have sulfuric acid. There's a whole lot of products out there you don't have if you don't have sulfuric acid. That ain't moving through the Gulf right now. In fact, I think Iran played the FAFO, and somebody decided they're going to run the strip down through there, and they They set them up like a Roman candle. So this thing is definitely getting real, but we're talking 77% increase for folks that are already struggling. Farmers live hand to mouth if anybody ever did. And here we are. We're talking about 12 days in. And judging by what I've seen, I mean, he's over here, he's gone 3 times to the Iranians saying, hey, let's talk turkey. They're like, nah, you killed our religious leader here. It ain't over till we say it's over. And then they came out today, I think, with a list of demands. From my perspective, from my libertarian perspective, all of them seem reasonable to me.
Yeah.
But you better believe the powers that shouldn't be are not going to go for this. So, and then you got Trump saying, well, yeah, it doesn't matter if oil goes up. You know, we make money on that. Who's the we? Ain't nobody in this chat, nobody I know of, that's the Rockefellers. You splitting that money with us? I mean, I'm like, are you really this disconnected that you would make a statement like that? We make money. No, your very wealthy friends make money, but the rest of us are, I mean, like folks were having a hard enough hacking it out of the wilderness. And now we got this going on. Anyway, son, do you have anything to say regarding that fertilizer stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole, for your own personal gardens, your own personal farms and everything like that, all of that is just not needed. I mean, 1 cubic yard of compost could knock out most people's farms. Most of the consultations I've ever done on properties, the only thing they really need is 1 cubic yard to inoculate everything. And it's a permanent fix as long as you don't do anything to screw it up. Like, I mean, you're not going to overdo it. You're never going to burn plants by applying too much biology. But as long as you don't create any compaction or anaerobic conditions, and as long as you understand what those 2 statements mean, you're not going to screw it up. Compaction. Don't keep tilling. Don't keep running over the same spot where you're trying to grow food. Anaerobic conditions. Don't spray biocides. Don't apply that same fertilizer that's now jumped up 70%. And keep the ground covered. That's the 3 basic rules. 2 rules, really 3 if you want to elaborate the compaction and the anaerobic conditions. But yeah, 2 rules to follow. Just do those 2 rules, make some compost, and then you're going to be good to go. So hopefully during this whole process, like I just did a consultation, I think it was Tuesday, and the gentleman there was saying that, you know, this looks like a huge opportunity for you. Like with fertilizer going up, it seems like you're going to be up in business right now. I'm like, I hope so. I hope people recognize that there is an alternative to buying these store-bought fertilizers, and that works 10 times better. That's a permanent fix as long as, you know, you just follow those 2 rules. But yeah, if I keep talking, I'm going to start getting into the Iran crap details and stuff like that, and then we'll get canceled and shut down and all that. So I'll pass it back up to you.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm having to govern exactly what's coming out of my mouth right now. I mean, anybody who doesn't like what I'm saying, they've already gotten loose. So, you know, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get at, the reason I read that whole story is, folks, this thing is light years worse than anybody's telling you right now. I keep a close watch on these things. And I can tell you right now, if that strait stays closed, it's not even the oil coming out of it as much as it is the products coming in and out of it. You don't have, right now, there is no sulfuric acid leaving that place. And that was the only place in the world that it was being produced. I've worked in my career as an electrician. I probably worked in 4 different tire plants in Topeka, Lawton, Oklahoma, you name it, man. I don't know, you know, Texarkana. Man, I've worked in a lot of different tire plants. I don't know why that is, but I did over the course of my career. And it's not a good place to work. I can tell you that. And there's a lot of people that usually don't make it to retirement in places like that. But anyway, if you don't have sulfuric acid, y'all, you're not vulcanizing the rubber. You're not doing a whole lot of other products or things that we take for granted right here. And that's just one thing. That's just one thing. And as I said before, quoting Max Egan, we are all truckatarians, meaning whatever you buy, it came on a truck. And what do you put in that truck? You put fuel in there. And if that fuel goes up, there's no way they're going to eat the cost. Not everybody's like us, where the bone sauce has not gone up 1 cent. In fact, we lowered the shipping. We eat part of the shipping costs. You know, the last time this crap went on, you know, we can't do that anymore, but we haven't gone up one bit. We eat that, but everybody else can't afford to do that. And it's going to cost you money. That's why this last program and this one here, believe me, I could dismantle everything that the powers that shouldn't be are saying about what's supposedly happening over there by people that are in the know. But I'm not going to do that. We're going to do something a little more helpful than that. So really,
hey, Ed, real quick.
Yeah.
Let me answer this one comment in the comment section real quick. Shield Maiden for Christ. She says, well, if Iran is freed of this regime and can get the Bibles to the people desperately needed, it's worth any amount of suffering in my life. Here's the thing. They already have the Bibles. We've been completely lied about everything in regards to Iran. And I remember when I was at Jeff Lawton's, they have this, basically there's this grandmother there, not either one of their grandmothers. She was just kind of the farm grandmother who was from Jordan, who had been to all these Middle Eastern countries, but also including Iran. Jeff Lawton designed in Iran. Check this out. There's over 100 synagogues in Tehran, and it's in their Bill of Rights that if any, no matter what your religion is, if any of these structures were to get destroyed from an attack from the United States, for example, it's in their Bill of Rights that the government will rebuild it for them. It's not just a Muslim country like they'll lead you to believe. There's Christians there, there's Jews there, there's Muslims there, there's Buddhists there, there's all kinds of different people there, and they all live without conflict. The only conflict are the manufactured conflicts that our government sets up in order to control the population. Same thing in Jordan. There's Jews living right next to Muslims, living right next to Christians. It's like that. They have the Bibles. They have more, I would say, more religious freedoms than some of our allied countries. That's for sure.
I'm glad you pointed that out, son. And not to pick on you, Shield Maiden of Christ. I know that comes probably from a good place because of what you've been taught. But I mean, Jeff Lawton just put out a video where he spent a considerable amount of time over there. In fact, if you talk to not the Americanized Iranians or the ones that are spewing the propaganda they want, I mean, everybody's saying everybody's shut up in a burqa. I mean, people like Max Egan have been over there, got video of these women. They're dyeing their hair. You would never know that it wasn't New York City. You would never know. Everything. Look, folks, everything they tell you, and I mean everything, if it's coming from the government, if it's coming from the media, especially Fox News and MSNBC and all those others, it is a manufactured lie. Everything we've been told about Iran, I mean, we got to start learning, folks. Remember everything they told us about Iraq? Lie. Everything they told us about Japan back in the day? Lie. How about going all the way back to World War I? If you doubt me, go look it up. You'll get a history lesson, folks. Go Google, or I'm sorry, Google is not a verb. Go search babies on bayonets and see what you find. You're going to find out that was a propagation campaign to say that the German soldiers during World War I were skewering babies, nailing up Catholic priests on the church doors. These lies were so far over that, and that was World War I. And then it only got worse consecutively down the line. And here we are right now. Everybody's telling us Iran is this, Iran is that. I haven't heard that from a single person I know of that has visited Iran. In fact, they're the people that, in fact, Anthony Bourdain, when he was there, go back and watch that episode, folks. Yeah. It's still, I'm sure you can still find it out there. Iran is not what everybody tells you it is. In fact, I would bet any amount of money. I got more in common than a common Iranian than I do with anybody in Washington, D.C. I'll guarantee that any day of the week. Everybody I know that's been there has said, look, man, everything they told you is a lie. Yeah, there's certain places where they got factions that are a little bit rough, but, it's no different than Chicago. I mean, there's places you won't go in this own country. So, I mean, to all the people out there that are believing, and just like myself, have been taught to believe a bunch of this stuff about Iran, folks, I don't believe anything that comes from pathological liars. And if it comes from our government or this media, I mean, folks, you're really going to try to tell me there's under 10 soldiers murdered right now, 10 of our soldiers killed? I'll bet you the real number is at least 1,500. I'll bet you can't wipe out that many bases and not kill a whole lot of soldiers in the process. They haven't told you about it. They're probably going to wait on the next false flag to kick off. But I'm glad you pointed that out. But look, folks, just if nothing else, question everything being told to you by known liars, and a lot of them are in these pulpits. A lot of them are in these pulpits right now. The John Hagees out there, they either lie straight out or they lie by omission. So anybody that's saying, let's go over here and kill these ragheads, which is what I hear a lot of nonsense. First of all, go look at the contemporary videos of Iran. Ain't nobody wearing a burqa. Very few are wearing a burqa at all. But that's what they're telling everybody. And then Trump openly lying, saying they murdered, butchered kids on. I'm like, get out of town. Look, there ain't a person with any military background at all that believes the official story of October 7th. There ain't nobody telling anybody that has any military service, especially a sapper. You're not going to tell me that they breached this border, stayed there unmolested for 8 hours unless A, they did it themselves, or B, it was allowed to happen without a quick reactionary force. Anyway, let's get to it, son.
Hey, real quick, I like we're talking about a very, very serious topic. Everybody in the comments is talking about a serious topic, but Necro Kitty is on a delay, and randomly I just see this comment. I like durian. Like, he just brought some levity to the situation.
Well, there you go. Durian, good for all that ails you. All right, so we're going to talk about some things because, like I said, folks, maybe I'll cover it in later episodes, but you better believe things are about to get real. If this thing isn't some way miraculously disassembled, it's going to go to World War III in the worst kind of way, folks. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because I love you. I'm saying this because I want you to be prepared. And I mean this in a big way. So, in light of everything I was just talking about, like William said, you don't need any of that stuff. You just need good compost. So, and I don't sell compost. We tell you how to make it. We show you for free. Ain't that hard, folks. You want more detail, go check out our Patreon channels. But I figured we'd talk about some things you can grow in buckets because there's a lot of people living in either postage stamp backyards or they're living in an apartment. Look, I mean, I haven't even touched guerrilla gardening yet, man. We'll have to do that one in a later episode. Whether you live in the city, folks, I was growing sweet potatoes in plain sight. Most people don't know what they're looking at. You can sit here and eat them greens. You can eat the sweet potatoes. I mean, you got food that could be growing all around you in public places, and they don't even know about it. But let's talk about some stuff you grow in buckets. Son, you were going to say something ahead of time.
Yeah, before we get into the varieties that you can grow in buckets, because it's a pretty extensive list, I did want to talk to you guys about how to set up a bucket for growing. Because there's obviously some people are probably thinking like, oh, I just dump a bunch of soil in a bucket and then start growing food. That's not what you want to do because the bottom's going to go anaerobic. It's going to start rotting. There's a difference between like decomposition and then rotting. You want to like the composting process, not the rotting process. So take like a 3 to 5 gallon bucket, right? And then you're going to drill a bunch of holes in the bottom of it. So that way water can flow through. And then you also want to drill some holes in the sides just in case they're outside and you get a torrential downpour and it's just filling up faster than those bottom holes can drain. And then you're going to line the bottom of that with gravel, preferably gravel that's going to be bigger than your holes. So that way you're not just losing a bunch of gravel out of the bottom. And then if you can set that bucket on top of like either 2 boards or something, just to give it space underneath. So that way, if any roots do come through, depending on what you're growing, some of them are going to have tap roots. If any of the roots do come through, they hit that hole and then they air prune, which is a really good way and gentle way of pruning roots and everything. So after you get your gravel in the bottom, then you're going to layer and you're going to layer your ingredients in a particular way. So you're going to take your topsoil and either vermiculite or perlite, either one, and you're going to mix those together. So total volume is going to be about 60% or 70% of your topsoil, just the cheapest topsoil you can find, and then mix it with 10% perlite or vermiculite. And then you get that in your bucket. And then the remaining 20%, you're going to top the bucket with compost, preferably homemade compost. And then as you water the bucket, it's all going to inoculate everything down below. But that top 20% is going to be what your plants are going to interact with at first with most of the plants that you're going to plant. And then after you put your compost on, do a layer of mulch because buckets are going to dry out, like 3 times faster than the soil will. So there's some downsides with that. But as long as you know about it, you can account for it and then water it more frequently. But if you're in an arid environment, you might want to be cautious with how much water you're going to be using in this bucket system. Also, cool thing about bucket is that if you have any of those late spring frosts that we were talking about at the beginning of the show, you can always bring your buckets inside if you need to, or if it's just torrential downpour and you don't want your plants to drown or anything like that, just bring them in the inside if you want to. There's a bunch of benefits to buckets. I just wanted to tell you guys like how to set up your bucket before planting in it, because I've seen a bunch of YouTube videos on container gardening, and there's a lot of people who ain't showing the full process because their plants failed by the end of it because they didn't drill holes in the bottom.
So. Yeah, glad you pointed all that out, son. So now that you got your buckets all squared away, let's think about what you can grow. Look, I'm going to be focusing on high density things that can produce a lot of food. We want calorie crops as much as we possibly can. And then of course, we want some medicinal stuff in there. So right out of the gates for me is going to be potatoes. I mean, I'm an American, who doesn't like potatoes? So it's one of those high calorie crops out there that you can get in the bucket. And it works also as a village grow kind of method. But I mean, potatoes, and it doesn't even have to be a bucket. I mean, for crying out loud, I've seen people growing these things out of car tires. Now, it's probably not the best medium in the world, but I have seen it done where they've had tires on the ground. They were like, okay, it's been sitting there, man. Let's grow some food out of it. So, that's, any medium that is mobile. I like 5-gallon buckets because they're easy, they're handy, and you can pull them around. So potatoes, great for calories and storage. Plus, you can't beat storage. So you're going to want some of those. All right, son.
All of your leafy greens, granted, those aren't really calorie dense, but that's something that you can produce quickly, and you can kind of get like a daily meal out of it, depending on, how densely you planted your buckets or how many buckets you have. So you could set up like a 7-day rotation with 7 different buckets and eat a salad every day if you wanted to. And each bucket could have like all of the ingredients necessary for a diverse salad. So meaning all the leafy greens necessary for a diverse salad. You could do arugula in there, which, and depending on where you are, you might call it arugula rocket, whatever it may be. Those are prone to bolting in your higher heats. So what you can do with that bucket is take it and put it over in the shade if you need to. But you can do a diversity. You can do spinach in there. You can do romaine in there. You can do like salad bowl lettuce or whatever your local nursery is going to call it. You can do all kinds of lettuces in there, and you can fit quite a few in one bucket. And then just do 7 of those, and then you got a weekly salad rotation if you want to. On to you, Dad.
Yeah, I'm going to say my next one up is bush beans. No trellis needed if you grow, bush types. Or if you're near a fence and you want to do others, knock yourself out. But it's a fast turnaround crop, comparatively. And once again, it's going to be high density in terms of calories. So, and being a nitrogen fixer, it can be, it's pretty versatile. And seriously, who doesn't like beans? Well, I'm sure some folks don't, but it's a good way to be getting a whole lot of fiber out there. So beans is going to be my next choice.
That's a good point. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say I don't like beans before. I don't think I've ever heard that statement before. But the next one is what gets more high calorie than fruit trees, something that just keeps producing over and over and over again. If you look at like the French gardens at the Palace of Versailles, is that it? I think it's the Palace of Versailles. They have oranges growing over there in France, in an area where oranges don't typically do very well, but they have them in basically big buckets where I think they use a forklift now, but in the past they would use carts to haul them out during the warm months and then bring them back in during the cold months. But I would just stick to a dwarf variety of fruit tree, and then definitely elevate that bucket so that way that taproot and the other roots, and I would drill more holes in it as well, so that way the roots will air prune as opposed to circulating the trunk and then strangling the tree. There is a correct way to do it, but it's totally possible. You can grow a ton of food for a very, very long time in the form of a bucket. Now, it is going to require more maintenance than your fruit trees that you're planting out in the soil, so keep that in mind. But yeah, fruit trees. And then you could get away with some fruit trees that ain't even supposed to grow in your area, even more extreme than your citrus and everything. Like you could maybe, if you did a bonsai version of it and prune it very, very well, you might be able to get away with the durian in a 5-gallon bucket. who knows? I'd like to see somebody try.
Yeah, my next one's gonna be, and I should have led with this one, is really sweet potatoes, man. I mean, good night. I mean, grow slips in relatively shallow soil. I mean, you can take an old potato and get your slips off of that. Leaves are edible too, as I was talking about a moment ago. I've grown sweet potatoes, guerrilla gardening in plain sight, and they just thought it was probably some kind of invasive. I don't know what they thought it was, but nobody ever messed with it. So, in those kind of situations, you harvest, when it starts getting dark. But either way, sweet potatoes, I mean, you talk about high density, can store it well. It's a superfood in so many different ways. I mean, plus depending on the variety you get, I mean, I spent a lot of time eating sweet potatoes that were, the regular orange color, and then also the blue ones. You're getting those anthocyanins. So you're getting a lot of medicine in there with those sweet potatoes as well. I know Danny at Deep South, man, he practically lives on sweet potatoes. I mean, and then they make this really cool dessert I like down there. I can't remember the name of it Miss Wanda made, but anyway, it was really good. So sweet potatoes are definitely another one on my list.
Next one is herbs, specifically herbs that will completely take over a bed. So things like yarrow or things like mint, yeah, stuff like that. You could grow in buckets, so that way you're not like we have like a little herb patch by the front door, and it's just literally a square. And if it wasn't as shaded as it is, then the mint that's planted in there, if it wasn't for the shade, and then June, my daughter, constantly snacking away at it, it would completely take over that patch. So one thing you can do to combat that is just put it in buckets, grow it in buckets, and it'll be contained in those buckets, especially if you keep it elevated. If you keep it on the ground with those holes in the bottom, there's a chance that the roots eventually make their way down through those holes into the soil, and then now you got mint growing around your buckets in the actual soil. But careful, because yarrow and mint will completely take over a bed. So those are things that I would just recommend planting in containers, if not just a bucket.
My next one's going to be tomatoes, and I'm talking about the cherry variety or even the determinate. Why? Because everything I put out there, there's always a preparedness component into it. Well, why tomatoes of all things? Well, because I can a whole lot of tomato sauce every single year. It can be used in so many different things, whether you want to make a pizza, you got it. You want to make spaghetti, you got it. You want to make lasagna, you got it. You want to make chili, you got it. I mean, there's so many different variations that you can go with it. Plus, tomatoes, being that they're not going to dig any cold weather snaps, okay, if they're in a bucket, like William said a moment ago, you can move them to a place that's a little more hospitable. But I like tomatoes, not only just because they're tomatoes, I mean, but I really love them because of the versatility and what it's going to give me in terms of other meals that I can make with it. So just one jar, I mean, my tomato sauce, y'all, I'll put it up against anybody. I use real ingredients in it, all stuff. I mean, if you're growing tomatoes in, you probably got peppers. Well, they go together in sauce. Then you're going to need some onions. Probably got some of those. So the only thing I put in that sauce that we don't grow is the wine. So, and you can't even get the flavor out of the tomatoes. There's a chemical reaction that happens. So, I mean, I don't mean to go sideways here, but that's the only thing that I don't grow is the wine that goes inside that sauce. But you got to have some kind of alcohol to bring out the flavor. Can't be done any other way. So, yeah, tomatoes is going to be my next one.
Real quick, Danlo Music says, thanks for the warning. I'm going to start yarrow soon. Was going to use it in a tree guild, so probably not now. Now, in that application, yarrow would be perfectly fine in a tree guild and would act as like a perfect mulch, like a living mulch around the base of your tree. So you're not going to have any issues in that, application. But if you were putting it in like a raised bed and you were wanting to grow other stuff with that, more annuals, like more like tender plants that are annuals and kind of delicate, then that's where the issue would be. But yarrow as a mulch layer for your fruit trees, I can't think of a better application for yarrow. But the next thing that I was gonna do was garlic, and carrots. Carrots. So a lot of people have issues. I mean, garlic is an obvious one there, but a lot of people have issues with carrots because of the germination rates, getting them to germinate fully and then, stay like wet enough long enough in order to germinate. So most buckets have lids. Most buckets come with lids. What you could do is drill a couple holes on the side just so there is some ventilation and everything. But you could fill up your bucket, get that squared away, sow your carrot seeds water it heavily, and then put your lid on. So that way you still have the warm enough temperatures for it to germinate, but you're losing a lot less moisture due to evaporation because that lid is on. And then once your carrots start growing, then you're good to go. And then with the benefit of the bucket, with having that 5 gallons of very, very loose soil, your carrots are going to grow straight, and you'll get long, straight, thick carrots by growing them in a bucket, especially if you did the soil mixture that I was talking about at the beginning of this section. But yeah, I want to try carrots in a bucket now.
Yeah, there's, my last one here is, man, I had it. I think I'm going to answer a couple of questions that people had in the chat here, but it's either peppers or cucumbers, probably depending on where you live. Peppers are obviously going to favor the heat. And when I say peppers, I'm talking all of the above. I mean, jalapenos, obviously you're not going to eat those like crazy, but other varieties of peppers, you're going to be going nuts on those. Plus they go well with the tomatoes. But on the other hand, I'm also thinking cucumbers, because those plants are like squash, man. They're so freaking prolific that if you just have a simple trellis or something they can trellis on, super high productivity in a small space. Not the calorie density that I would prefer, but you can pickle them. You could also do the same thing with the peppers. I mean, we do that. I was kind of thinking, man, I guess it would depend on my location and time of year as to whether I picked peppers or cucumbers. I mean, peppers are tougher to get. We did a lot of cayennes, and I eat them all year long. I ended up making a powder out of them, freeze drying them, and then making a powder out of it, and I use it every day in my broth. But yeah, peppers and cucumbers, and I want both of them for the same reasons, but depending on where you live, the peppers may not grow as great. So, son, you're a final one.
Well, on that note, with the peppers are only annuals in temperate environments because of the winter. So you could bring your peppers inside, keep them growing perpetually, and then during your warmer months, bring them back outside and never have to replant a new pepper plant. But the next thing that I was thinking is going to be a potato alternative called daylilies. Now, you want to make sure you're getting daylilies and not any other kind of bulb variety. Like make sure they're not daffodils or tulips or anything like that, specifically daylilies. And then daylilies, they're going to require a lot less maintenance. I mean, look at where daylilies typically grow. Like there's daylilies popping up right now in the swales at the demonstration site, and nobody is taking care of them in I don't even know how many years at this point, but they grow every single year. No issue at all. And the bucket makes it super easy to harvest. You just dump the bucket out, pull the however many tubers you want out of it from the daylilies. You could split them as well, because they're going to get bigger and bigger each year, and they're going to spread out a little bit each year. And then you could inoculate or plant more buckets with the daylilies you harvested, or you could take those tubers and then just treat them like potatoes and start eating them. But yeah, you could do like y'all. The list of things you can grow in a bucket is a lot bigger than the list of things you can't grow in a bucket. So like corn is going to be something you can't really grow in a bucket very well, but everything else for the most part is going to do pretty well.
Yeah. Somebody saying, I need bone sauce, please. I'm hoping to have more online tonight. If not, hopefully tomorrow. Quick compost question. Is it okay to put used hemp chicken bedding in my compost pile? I don't see why you wouldn't. In fact, that's probably going to be a much cleaner source than anything else you can probably get out there. Any thoughts on that, son?
So I'm going to answer all of the can I put this in compost questions with the same thing that Jeff Lawton told me when I kept asking him, can I put this in the compost? If it has lived, it can live again via compost. So if it has ever lived at any point, you can throw it in the compost. Just depending on the carbon to nitrogen ratio is going to determine how much of that you put in and how big the pieces are that you put in. But I mean, in that same podcast that he was talking about, I ran in, he was talking about putting used motor oil or used just crude oil on the soil and being able to reforest these desert areas by using an oil on the sands and everything. And it would benefit everybody's soils, especially if you go through like a guaranteed drought every year, like in Texas. Use motor oil. Don't even worry about the toxins, because they're going to get locked up in all that composting that's going on, if there are any major toxins from your oil source. But yeah, if it has ever lived, it can live again via compost.
All right. So question here, and then we'll bring it to a close. William, are you selling moringa seeds now or in the future?
I will be as soon as I get back from the ruckus. So expect some sort of announcement next week about moringa seeds and good King Henry seeds and a few other ideas that I have.
Yeah, Nancy had another question here, or at least a comment, and it says, and we need to store the food we need to grow, canning, dehydrating, freeze drying, stack those shelves. Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. I mean, folks, that's the whole reason I'm talking about this and why we've been. Look, I'm not Nostradamus or anything like it. Not Edgar Casey, not any of those people. I am a historian, and I can tell you that we are at the end of a fourth turning. We're at a fourth turning right now. And folks, the good guys don't always win then. And typically there's a lot of, I mean, you think of, for example, World War II, fourth turning. Here we are 80 years later, fourth turning. 80 years prior to World War II, what do we have? The Civil War. 80 years before that, the American Revolution. I mean, you get the point. And times are getting real. I'm not trying to make you afraid, folks. This is about empowerment. This is why we talk about this stuff, and we don't do the beat around the bush and the mealy mouth stuff. Well, you might do. No, the wheels are coming off this thing, and as long as that Strait of Hormuz is shut down, your prices are about, and all of us, nobody I know is not suffering. I don't know anybody that's not having a hard time, and it's about to get much harder. So what do you think that means? Look, we're talking about growing food in buckets. Maybe you can't grow all of your food in buckets. Maybe you can do a little bit of guerrilla gardening here. Maybe you know a person that has land they're doing nothing with. Or you could be like me, you're guerrilla gardening a place in Asheville, and the guy finds out what you're doing and offers you another, the acre you're working on to grow food, and then another 10 elsewhere across town or whatever it was he had. I mean, there are ways out there to acquire land, or like Joel Salatin often said, they're growing weed in national parks. Nobody ever thought about growing tomatoes? I mean, for crying out loud. Folks, there is land out there. I mean, you may not. I've even thought about doing like a clandestine chicken tractor where I make it look like a transformer on the side of the road, but it's actually got chickens inside of it. And then move it every day alongside the road. And I bet you nobody would even notice. I bet nobody would even notice that I got chickens out there in that transformer or in that fake transformer. So that's something I wouldn't mind doing in the future. I think that'd be a hoot. But anything else to add, son?
There's still time to prepare, but you got to do it now. Like, you got to start now. But based on some of the questions I get in the emails and stuff like that, like, no, we're still functioning right now. So there is still time to prepare. You just got to get active about it right now.
Yeah. Fill up your vehicles, have your gas cans ready. Be ready for a false FF, as William called it. I mean, I guess they already got us by now, but anyway, do all those things, but seriously, obviously you're not going to grow all this food tonight. We'll get some storable stuff. We've talked about it before, folks. Beans are cheap. I mean, I don't try not to make it a habit of shopping at Sam's Club or, well, Costco is better, but man, you can go in there and buy, last I looked, I mean, you can buy a 50-pound bag of rice for like $25. I don't know what it is now. That was the last time I looked. And that was up from the 17. I mean, good night. The inflation on that has been something, really. It was 17, then it jumped to 25. I don't know what it is right now, but I guarantee it's still a bargain. You can get a whole bunch of beans out there, get Mylar bags, put them in 5-gallon buckets. I mean, just have it, just have it, just in case. I mean, so what's the worst that happens? You got food and it doesn't go sideways, but seriously, I think they want it to go sideways. And then I think they want to bring in a digital scam, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. Maybe we'll talk about it in later shows. Well, folks, don't have any music to go out on, which is really driving me crazy because of all the weird technical things that we have no accounting for. So until next time, son, stay alert.
Stay alive.
All right, y'all. We'll see you. Thank you so much for checking us out.